In the real world, reactants are not infinite, and a reaction can only proceed while all the reactants are present. In other words, when one runs out, the reaction is over. The one that runs out first limits the reaction, so it is called the limiting reactant. But how can you tell which is limiting? You can't compare the initial masses or moles you're given. You have to use the mole ratios from your reaction, which means the first thing you must do is make sure your reaction is balanced and your reactants are in terms of moles. Now pick a product, any product, and use your mole ratios to determine how many moles of that product each reactant can produce. You must convert your reactants into the same product in order to compare the moles produced. The reactant that makes the least amount of product is your limiting reactant, which makes the other your excess reactant. The grams of product produced from the limiting reactant is your theoretical yield, or 100% of what can be made. In the real world, you'll never get 100%. Your actual yield is always less than that. Actual and theoretical yield are used to determine the percent yield of the product. Like any other percentage, divide part by total and multiply by 100%. Now, back to the excess reactant. If you need to know how much excess reactant remains, use moles of the limiting reactant to find moles of the excess reactant that were used. Subtract the moles that were used from the moles you were given to find the remaining moles of excess reactant.